I want to talk a little bit about my desert island guitar, the Fender Classic Series 70s Stratocaster. Now, before I started to film this video, my high E string broke off, so I will have to restring it and give you some sound samples, but I just want to talk about this guitar and show you, so don't mind the missing high E string. So this is my fifth Stratocaster, and I must say I am a Stratocaster guy. I just love Stratocasters, so I want to talk about Stratocasters in general, and specifically this model, why this model means so much to me. I got into Stratocasters, I think mainly because of the edge of U2, but also Bryan Adams was a huge inspiration for me. My first Stratocaster was a standard Mexican with a satin finish. I had that guitar for probably 8 years or something like that. It wasn't a particularly good Stratocaster when I see it in retrospect, because it had some issues with the frets not being even. It didn't resonate very well because of the satin lacquer. Now you should assume that the satin lacquer is kind of thin, but on this guitar it was this thick, very thick plastic. And at the end of the guitar's life, that before I sold it, it started to peel off in these areas right here. But anyways, that was my first Strat. Second one was a Mexican made, again, FSR Strat, kind of inspired by the David Gilmour Strat, but at a more reasonable price. It was a much better Stratocaster than the first one, but I sold it and got a Classic Series 60s Stratocaster from the same series as this. This is the 70s, also made in Mexico. It was a Lake Placid blue one with rosewood fretboard, and that was one of the best guitars I have ever owned, and I so regret getting rid of it. I traded it for a Classic Series 70 Stratocaster, not this one. Same model, but in Olympic white and with a rosewood fretboard. Also a very, very, very great guitar. But I had always lusted after a 70s style Stratocaster because of, again, the edge. And I saw this model with a rosewood fretboard in a guitar store one day, and I totally fell in love with it. And I said to myself that one day I will have a guitar like that. Now fast forward several years, I bought this. I had the other 70 Strat with rosewood, so I wanted to have one with maple. So I got this, and that's about 2 years ago. This is the best Stratocaster I have ever played. It is super comfortable. The neck is a U shape, so it's a bit wide and thick. I have big hands, so I like big necks. It also have a 7 3/4, is it that, inch radius. It's a bit round. It's the vintage style. I have no problems with the vintage radius. Actually, I kind of love it. I can manage some pretty big bends with it without it fretting out, and I have a considerable low action on it as well. This has an ash body. It's very light. I've heard that many original 70s Strats were very heavy. This is very light. It's got the 3-bolt here, and I got no problems with that, and I kind of think it looks cool. I don't like the tone configuration, so the way I wire them up is to have a master volume and a master tone. So this one doesn't do anything, it's just there because I think it looks ridiculous without it, to be honest. Also on Fenders, they tend to lose a little bit, or not just a little bit, but a lot of clarity when I roll the volume below 8. So I've done a treble bleed mod on the volume control. I also changed out the plastic parts to cream and parchment. And the last modification I did to it was to put a DiMarzio FS1 pickup in the bridge, again because of the edge. And it's a kind of hot output, and it has some mid boost to it, so I just love it. And still in the bridge and middle position you get the quack sound. So now a lot of people complain about the placement of the volume control on Stratocaster. I've never had any problems with the volume control being in the way of my playing, so I just think it's kind of what you get used to. Like when I first bought a Les Paul, I didn't like the toggle switch up here. I always hit it when I was playing, but then you get used to it. Another thing is that some people may have trouble keeping Stratocasters with tremolos in tune, and I see people buying locking tuners, and I think that is kind of not the way to fix it, because it's all about setup, and from the factory not all guitars are set up perfectly. This wasn't either. But the main thing is to keep your tremolo in tune is make sure the nut slots are cut correctly. So I file them a bit, and every time I change strings I put a lot of graphite from a pencil. I have no problems with this staying in tune when using the Wyman bar at all. So I think it's a general misconception about locking tuners that they are made to keep the guitar in tune. The way I understand it, locking tuners are made to make string change easier. So if you have a Strat that doesn't keep in tune, check the nut first of all and adjust your tremolo system to taste. thank you so much for watching this little video. Make sure to like and subscribe and click the bell so you can get notifications when there are new videos up from me. I hope you're all staying healthy and corona free, and until next time, I'll see you later.